There are specific moments in life where a person walks in and suddenly the idea of coincidence disappears forever. You can try to look back at the timeline and make sense of how things happened, but your gut already knows that logic was never really in charge here. This person did not simply walk into your world. They arrived with a clear purpose that felt inevitable from the very beginning of your meeting. When they arrived, something shifted deep inside you that was quiet but permanent in its impact on your soul and your future. Even right now, as you try to move on and tell yourself it is over, there is a pull that you cannot ignore. As you try to think your way through the pain, there is still something drawing your attention back to them on a constant basis. This is not a feeling of desperation, but rather the weight of something deeply familiar and grounded in your own personal history. If this message has reached you today, it is not by chance, because important messages always arrive exactly when the soul is ready. Carl Jung once said that whoever looks outside dreams, while whoever looks inside awakes to the truth of their own reality. Right now, something deep within you is beginning to wake up and see things for what they truly are in this current moment. It is a kind of knowing that refuses to stay quiet or be ignored by your logical mind as you attempt to move forward. It is a feeling that insists this connection was not meant to be easily forgotten or cast aside, like a simple memory. You may have reached a point where you feel torn in two between different paths of thought and your own daily actions. You feel caught between holding on to what was and finally letting go of the expectations you once held so very tightly. You are torn between trusting what you feel in your heart and doubting yourself because of what you see in the world. Silence has a way of feeding doubt, and distance can make even the strongest heart question what it knows to be true. You may have wondered if you imagined the whole thing, or if you were simply dreaming of a reality that never truly existed. You might think you read too much into something that was never really there, but imagination would have faded away by this time. Illusions fall apart when they are tested by time. Yet this connection has remained solid, despite the many months and miles. Your soul refuses to release this person, and that refusal has a deep reason that you are starting to understand. This person matters not in the way the ego wants, but in the way the soul recognizes a true partner in growth. This is not obsession, because obsession is loud and demanding, while what you feel is much quieter and much deeper than that. It lives beneath the surface of all your thoughts and waits patiently for the right time to reveal its true face. It rises in still moments and in unexpected waves of emotion that come out of nowhere to greet you. Connections that change us are never shallow, as they rearrange something on the inside that was once very static and unchanging. They open doors that cannot be shut again, even through the vast distance that currently lies between you and this person. Even through the silence, they feel you more than they show, because some people carry deep emotion while appearing calm. Silence does not mean the feeling is gone. It often means the feeling is so big they do not know how to hold it. Their distance is not a lack of care, but rather a fear of the vulnerability that this connection requires of them right now. They fear losing control or being seen at a depth they are not yet ready for in their current state of life. This is where many deep connections break apart, because one soul wakes up faster than the other, one is able to. The other person pulls back from the mirror being held in front of them, and you became that mirror for them, until you make the unconscious conscious. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate as you wander through the world. Right now, they are being steered by what they have not yet faced. But once awakened, a soul stays awake forever. You came into their life to remind them of emotional honesty and what it feels like to be real, with someone. You reached a place inside them that had gone quiet for a long time, and that touch does not simply disappear. The universe does not waste meetings, and if this connection were truly finished, it would have ended very cleanly and without lingering. Instead, it shows up in small signs that catch your eye and in dreams that feel more real than your waking life. These are not distractions. They are signals telling you to trust what is unfolding beyond what you can currently see. There is a difference between forcing a door open and knowing it will open when the time is right. Your hope is not weakness. It is intuition. And intuition does not need to shout to be heard clearly by your heart. Right now, something is moving beneath the surface, and the resistance is softening as the days pass by slowly and steadily. The heart that once shut itself away is giving way under the pressure of its own undeniable and deep truth. Whether they admit it or not, the idea of losing you completely is starting to feel scarier than trying again. Patience is the key to joy when it is rooted and steady, trusting the timing without giving up your own self-respect. As this message settles into you, notice what lands without effort, because truth does not need to convince you of anything. If your heart feels calmer rather than more anxious, that is your confirmation that you are on the right path. The connection is not broken. It is changing shape as you are being shaped just as much as they are. What you are going through right now is not waiting, but becoming the person you were always meant to be in this life. You may have noticed that since this connection entered your life, you are no longer the same person you were before. Your emotional awareness has grown deeper, and your standards have become much clearer than they were in the past years. You can no longer settle for shallow connections or love that is only half present in your daily life. Sometimes a connection does not come to stay right away, but to wake you up and show you brand new possibilities. Once that waking happens, you cannot go back to sleep or accept the half-life you lived before this major moment. Letting go feels hard because you are holding on to a truth about yourself that was born through knowing this person. You learned how deeply you can feel and how capable you are of full emotional presence with another human. Soul connections rarely move in straight lines. They spiral and return to the same themes at much deeper levels than before. They ask for more honesty, more courage, and more willingness to face the truth of who you really are today. What makes this complicated is not a lack of feeling, but the difference in timing and readiness between your souls. You are ready to open while they are still working through their own internal resistance and fears. Unresolved connections do not go away. They wait and surface when the distractions of the world finally quiet down and stop. Late at night or early in the morning, you become the quiet standard they cannot stop measuring everything else against. This is why signs seem to keep appearing for you lately, not to keep you stuck, but to keep you steady. When you start to doubt yourself, something shows up to remind you that you are not making this up. There is a powerful change happening within you as you learn the difference between attachment and alignment in your love life. Attachment says you need this person to be okay, but alignment says you are already okay on your own strength. When you stop chasing clarity and start living it, the whole dynamic transforms and the pressure lifts from your heart. The connection is no longer fed by anxiety, but by a grounded presence that makes reunion possible. They feel this change in you and sense that you are pulling your energy back inward to focus on yourself. They sense that you are no longer waiting in the same anxious way, and that makes the connection feel real. It has to be chosen now, and this is where fear starts losing its power over the both of you. The reality of losing you becomes clear, and the heart starts speaking louder than the defense mechanisms of the past. You chose growth and integrity, and they are now standing at the edge of that same life-changing choice for themselves. The direction is changing, and you may sense closeness, even without words, through a sudden wave of quiet and warm energy. Clarity is coming, and it will not ask you to shrink or compromise who you have become in this process. Love must be lived and not only felt, which is why everything has slowed down to this pace. If they return, it will be with real intention and accountability, meeting you in the open space you now live in. If they do not, you will not fall apart, because you have already returned to the truth of your own soul. You now know the difference between chemistry and real soul compatibility, and between longing and true alignment. Whatever comes next will find you at the level where you now stand, grounded in your own worth and peace. Something is moving toward alignment that is not rushed or pushed, but real in its essence and its best delivery. There comes a point when longing softens into understanding, because your relationship to the Fenken has changed for good. You stop asking why this is happening to you and begin to sense that it is happening for you. That shift is enormous, because it is the moment when pain begins turning into wisdom and strength. This connection was meant to reveal you and strip away what was false in your life before they trip. It taught you the difference between intensity and true intimacy, and between holding on out of fear or love. As that understanding settles in, the suffering loses its grip on your mind and your daily emotional state. Your thoughts of them are changing and arriving with more stillness and a clear-eyed acceptance of the current situation. When one person in a deep bond grows, the entire dynamic has to respond to that new level of energy. Energy seeks balance, and when you stop chasing answers, things begin to shift and move in a new direction. They are feeling this too, as your energy reaches them as presence rather than as a need for validation. This unsettles them more than pursuit ever could, because silence now carries a different and deeper meaning for them. It is no longer rejection, but inner work and confrontation with the self that they must do to move forward. They are being pushed to face the patterns they used to stay protected, like emotional walls and constant control. These things once kept them safe, but now they only keep them isolated from the love they truly desire. Moving forward means risking vulnerability, while staying back means letting go of something genuinely rare and precious to them. The outcome does not depend on how much you hope, but on how deeply you honor yourself in this process. The more you stay true to who you are, the clearer the path becomes for everyone involved in this story. Whether it leads to reunion or peaceful release, it will no longer destroy you because you are much stronger. The soul senses that this connection still holds unfinished meaning that needs honesty to be fully resolved and understood. Words that were never said and feelings never expressed do not vanish, but wait for the courage to be spoken. Where your fear is, there your task is. And right now, fear is standing in front of you both. Your task was to trust your knowing, while theirs is to open their heart, without hiding behind old walls. Both tasks are moving forward, and you may notice that the idea of reunion no longer feels frantic. You want depth over fantasy, and are no longer willing to accept confusion, dressed up as fate or destiny. You want clarity and real presence, and that inner standard is calling them forward to meet you there. True soul bonds do not exist to trap you in suffering, but to guide you back to your truth. You are stepping into that alignment now, and communication may open in ways you did not expect. Very soon. Do not rush these moments, but let them open naturally, as real reconnection cannot be forced or hurried along. If fear rises, let it be there without letting it lead you, as it is only a memory. You are not the same person you were, and you no longer need to prove your worth to anyone. Your worth is visible in your growth, and the universe responds to what you embody in your soul. Pay attention to how your body feels. Less tightness and more openness means you are settling into the truth. What comes next is about allowing life to show you what is real and allowing love to find you. This connection is rising into truth or dissolving into understanding. But it is not finished quite yet for you. There is still movement and courage forming for a conversation that is waiting for the right moment of wholeness. Stay present and grounded, because the next part of this journey will ask for your discernment and your strength. There is a quiet strength that builds when you no longer need outside reassurance to trust what you feel. You stop scanning for signs because something inside you has settled in genuine trust of the divine process. The connection is a mirror that shows you exactly where you are standing and who you are becoming. Today, you no longer feel the need to justify your feelings or defend the truth of your heart to others. Real love does not use confusion as proof, and your inner steadiness changes the entire landscape of your life. When you stop twisting yourself to keep it alive, the connection must respond honestly to your new vibration. Either it rises to meet you or it shows you where it cannot. And both are the truth. They feel this shift because the space you filled with effort is no longer there for them to lean. And your presence has become clean and undistorted by the anxiety that used to drive your actions and your words. And this presence is confronting and brings their unresolved feelings to the surface, where they can no longer be denied. They feel the weight of what could be lost, and responsibility begins to stir in them for their choices. You chose growth and integrity, and they are now standing at the edge of that same life-changing choice today. The direction is changing, and you may sense closeness, even without words, through a sudden wave of quiet warmth. This is resonance, and while distance delays the expression of a bond, it does not cut the connection itself. Clarity is coming, and it will not ask you to shrink or compromise who you have become recently. Love must be lived and not only felt, which is why everything has slowed down to this steady pace. Anything built before this awareness would have crumbled. But what is being built now is strong and lasting. If they return, it will be with real intention and accountability, meeting you in the open space you live. If they do not, you will not fall apart, because you have already returned to your own soul.